The story begins with Amber, a wealthy woman who takes great pride in her riches. She often looks down on people she considers beneath her, refusing to show them even a hint of respect. This arrogant attitude makes her difficult to get along with, and she rarely connects with anyone around her. One day, Amber and a group of people travel to a remote island via private jet for a short vacation. Upon arrival, the ship's captain warmly greets everyone, shaking hands and welcoming them aboard. But Amber, staying true to her cold nature, ignores the gesture and walks off without responding. Among the crew is Mike, a quiet man who works as the ship's cleaner. From the moment Amber steps onto the ship, she starts ordering everyone around, including Mike. When he follows her to deliver some essentials to her room, she curtly asks if there's a gym on the ship. Mike nods and later brings her a cardio bike, suggesting she can use it for her workout. Amber feels insulted by his tone and explodes with anger, yelling at him and threatening to have him fired. But Mike remains silent, too wise to react to her rage. Later, the group heads out to explore the sea. While others are excited about diving, Amber refuses to join because she has a fear of water. She insists Mike sit beside her in the boat. When they return, lunch is served, but Amber, once again dissatisfied, complains that the food is too cold and demands it be reheated. This time, Mike's patience wears thin. In his mind, he imagines himself throwing the entire tray of food at her in frustration and throwing her into the ocean. But that was just a fleeting thought. He knows if he ever acted on it, he'd lose his job instantly. And worse, Amber could ruin him. So instead, he quietly returns to the others and asks them to warm her food. Days pass with Amber's tantrums continuing. Then one day, she insists on going fishing. Mike warns her that the weather looks risky and it might be dangerous, but Amber, stubborn as always, refuses to listen. She demands a small boat so they can head out and fish far from the ship. Mike manages a small boat and soon takes Amber far from the yacht, hoping to catch some fish. Neither of them realizes that the next few days will change their lives forever. After traveling a while, they reach a spot where Mike believes they might have some luck fishing. But as he tries to start the boat again to move a little further, the engine refuses to start. After multiple attempts, Mike discovers the fuel tank is empty. When Amber hears this, she loses her temper and screams at him. Though it may seem like Mike's fault, he reminds her that he had warned her earlier not to go out due to the bad weather, but she had ignored his advice. Still, Amber refuses to calm down, and Mike quietly distances himself, choosing not to argue further. As the day fades into night, and then another morning arrives, they find themselves completely stranded at sea. There's no paddle, no communication, and no one around for miles. They have no choice but to wait and hope for help. Days go by. It's now been 6 days without rescue. They've eaten almost nothing. Amber had brought a few supplies, but they ran out long ago. As their hunger and desperation increase, so does the tension. In one heated moment, Amber lashes out at Mike again, and suddenly, she sees what she thinks is a flare gun. In her panic, she fires it, but instead of a rescue signal, it damages their boat. Air starts leaking, and one side begins sinking slowly. That night, their troubles escalate even further as a violent storm rolls in. With waves crashing and rain pouring, they cling to the boat for survival. But just when everything feels hopeless, morning brings a miracle. In the distance, they spot an island. Gathering all their strength, they paddle toward it, finally reaching solid ground. As they finally reach the island, Mike turns to Amber and says, "Your adventure might be just beginning." He knows that getting rescued from this remote place won't be easy. At first, they hope someone might be living there, but after walking around in silence, it becomes clear they're completely stranded on a deserted island. Tired of Amber's constant complaints, Mike decides to leave her and go his own way. He says, "You clearly have a problem with me, so from now on, we survive separately." He walks away in search of anything useful to help him get through the days ahead. At first, he finds nothing, but soon, he stumbles upon a small hut and a few bottles, left behind by someone who was possibly stranded there before. With a temporary shelter in place, Mike knows food is his next priority. Thankfully, the sea is nearby, but he'll still need to work for it. He carves a sharp tool and skillfully manages to catch a fish. He returns to the hut, builds a small fire, and sits down to eat quietly, finally feeling a sense of survival. Meanwhile, Amber spends the day walking around the island, hoping to find a way out. But the truth hits her hard. There's nothing here. Her entire life had been spent in luxury, where everything came at the snap of a finger. But now, for the first time, she needs to rely on her strength and mind, things she never had to use before. This story begins to reveal two very different worlds. One of a man who knows how to survive with nothing, and another of a woman learning, perhaps for the first time, what it really means to struggle. After walking around endlessly, Amber finally gives in to exhaustion and collapses near a rock. Her eyes fall on Mike, who is calmly cooking and eating a fish. Seeing him so at ease sparks a mix of jealousy and hunger within her. She knows that if she lets her pride take over, she'll go hungry. So, swallowing her ego, she walks up to Mike and politely asks for a piece of fish. But Mike refuses. He still remembers how disrespectfully she treated him back on the yacht. He says, "You think after everything you did, I'll just share food with you that easily?" As she throws a handful of sand at him in frustration, he sets boundaries, telling her, "If you want food, there are some conditions." His rules are simple but stern. She must treat him with respect, acknowledge that he's in charge, and help with chores like washing clothes. He insists she call him master, as a way to reverse the imbalance that once existed between them. Left with no real choice, Amber agrees, though it frustrates her deeply. She begins to do the tasks Mike assigns, washing his clothes, gathering supplies, but resentment builds inside her. Mike's behavior turns colder. He doesn't let her sleep inside the hut or share proper meals with her. When he finally says, "If you want to sleep, it has to be in my bed," Amber stands her ground and replies with strength, "I'd rather sleep with wild animals than ever come near you." The dynamic between them starts to shift, not through dominance, but through slow and forced understanding. Over time, isolation begins to blur their anger. With no one else on the island and no help in sight, the two are pushed to communicate, and something starts to change between them. Perhaps not friendship yet, but the earliest signs of human connection. One day, while they were fishing together, Mike found himself standing close to Amber. There was a moment of tension, as if old emotions and new feelings clashed silently. But instead of acting on impulse, Mike stopped himself. He had started to truly care for Amber, and what he really wanted was to show her that ego and power aren't meant to hurt others. He walked away, leaving Amber to reflect. For the first time, she saw Mike not as a servant or a stranger, but as someone who understood her pain. She followed him, apologized sincerely, and admitted that she, too, had started liking him. From that day on, they began sharing chores, food, and laughter. Slowly, Amber realized that money wasn't everything. It had blinded her and turned her into someone she didn't recognize. But Mike helped her remember who she truly was. As their bond deepened, Amber opened up about her past, her divorce, her broken spirit, and the emotional weight she carried. Mike comforted her, and in that fragile moment, a new life began for both of them. But one day, while they were gathering firewood, Amber spotted a cruise ship near the shore. At first, she considered shouting for help, but then hesitated. That world, full of judgment and materialism, no longer felt like home. She chose silence. Mike, unaware, tried to call out, but Amber stopped him. "Please don't," she whispered. "I've never been this happy before." Still, Mike asked for proof that her love was real. Tearfully, she said, "If loving you with all my heart isn't proof enough, I don't know what is. I don't want to go back." Eventually, they agreed to board the cruise, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. When Amber's husband, Vicky, arrived and saw her alive, he thanked Mike for keeping her safe. But Mike could only offer a quiet, bittersweet smile. Perhaps he realized then, love had changed everything, and no matter where life took them, their hearts had already found each other. Just when everything seemed like it was finally coming together, fate took a turn. Mike went into a bar, but suddenly, a man showed up, sent by Vicky. He handed over a bag filled with cash, a reward for saving Amber's life. But Mike refused to take it. He pushed the man away and told the man he didn't want anything to do with it. But strangely, the man left the bag right outside the door. When Mike finally stepped out and opened it, he saw it, bundles of cash, silently waiting inside. While walking away, he noticed a jewelry shop and bought a beautiful ring. He had made up his mind. He wanted to marry Amber. That night, he called her and said how much he missed her. Amber replied gently, "Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Just make sure it's right for us." She told him to write a letter and leave it at her hotel's reception. Mike did exactly that. In the letter, he wrote, "I'll be waiting for you in the garden near the coast. Bring only your heart. Let's leave everything behind and start a new life together in London." But fate had other plans. Vicky arrived at the hotel before Amber did. He found the letter and realized everything. To stop her from leaving, he wrote a fake letter in Mike's name, saying everything that happened on the island was just a fling, that Mike never loved her. A hotel staffer delivered this false letter to Amber just as she was about to leave for New York. Heartbroken and confused, she believed every word. Meanwhile, Mike waited, hoping. But when he learned Amber was leaving, he rushed to the runway. He ran breathlessly, just to catch one last glimpse of her. But it was too late. Amber was already on the flight, the pain in her eyes reflecting betrayal. Mike shouted her name, cried out, but she never turned back. With all the pain in his heart, he threw the ring into the sea. And just like that, their love story ended. Not with goodbye, but with silence. A silence they would carry forever, wondering why. And that's the cruel game of time. It can turn lovers into strangers in a heartbeat. Sometimes, love doesn't end with a kiss, it ends with silence. This story reminds us that timing is everything, and not every love gets its forever. If this touched your heart, let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe.